Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Today I've got a special program for you. As I look back at what I've been doing with my Facebook Lives, I see that we're just about at my 2-year anniversary of doing the Watercolor Card Club and the Watercolor Wednesday live Facebook shows. So April 15th was my first one, and that's just a couple of days away. And over that time, I have attracted a lot of subscribers. And I want to thank you all so much for watching the videos, for subscribing, for liking, and all of your wonderful comments. I really appreciate it. And it's such a pleasure to have an enthusiastic audience for what I do, and if I can help you get started on your watercolor journey and inspire you to paint, nothing would make me happier than that. So today I thought I would celebrate my 2-year anniversary by doing a flip through of some of the pictures that I've painted over this time, and also give you some information about how you can join the Watercolor Card Club. If you can't stay for the whole show today, you'll find all of this information on my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and there is information there about me, my resume, my background. There are listings of my monthly classes and the Watercolor Card Club, and all sorts of links of how you can learn more about all these different things. So I'm going to lose my voice a little bit today. Hang on just a minute. I have my coffee handy. I hope you brought coffee with you today, because this is going to be a fun show. So the quick story is I've been painting with watercolor for most of my life, and I've been instructing and painting botanical watercolors and landscapes professionally for about 40 years. I have a long and varied client list of all the different ways that you can use watercolor to decorate household products and note cards, and wallpaper, textiles, all sorts of different things. Watercolor, of course, is a very old form of painting. Basically, it's adhering the pigment to the paper using something like a tree resin, like gum arabic. And it's a very unique medium, and it has a kind of a mind of its own. And depending on the paper and the tools and the technique that you use, you can get many, many, many different effects. So I have a collection here, and this is quite a heavy, heavy little box of cards that I've made. So you can see it's jam-packed. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'm going to go through a fair amount of them today. And the other thing I want to mention is that just about every single card and painting that I have in this collection was done from a flower from my garden here at Dandelion Cottage. And one of the things I'm hoping to do this year is to bring the camera outside and show you a little more about what happens here at Dandelion Cottage, because I think it's really a magical place, and the gardens are just beautiful. There are chickens, and they're adorable. You're going to meet some of the chickens throughout the course of the summer, and just keep you up to date on some of the things that go on around here. So I'm just gonna grab this bunch to get started with. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take you through the year with some of the flowers that grow here. Now the top card here, as you can see, is a kind of a rainbow wreath of flowers. And I want to just make a quick note that almost every single picture that you see here, every single painting was painted with just 3 colors: red, yellow, and blue, and 1 or 2 brushes. So you don't need a lot of materials to get started. And if you're interested in joining the Watercolor Card Club, when you become a subscriber, you have access to all kinds of materials lists and links that will help you get started in an extremely economical way. So you don't have to break the bank to get going. It's really much simpler than you think. So before we get started, I just want to check, make sure that we're live. That looks good. Good so far. And oh, there's a bunch. Hello, everybody. So Kelly, Sandra, Ginger, Carol, Patricia. Thank you all so much for, you are my tried and true supporters. And I love seeing you here when I go live. So thank you very much for tuning in. Probably going to lose my voice a couple of times today. But I think this is going to be fun to just flash through some of these cards. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one. I may mention the name of the flower that I painted. Roughly, they should be in seasonal order, from starting with the very late winter, very early spring. This little wreath design was one that I made to illustrate how all of these beautiful colors, just these 3 colors, can make these mixtures that will help you to depict all of these different flowers that you're going to see here today. Here's the pussy willow that I just did last week. You can see a lot of these videos on my YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, Dandelion Cottage Design, many of the paintings that you'll see here today are available to watch in video there, and it would be so great if you would like and subscribe and follow and do all those things, because it really helps me to get the paintings out to more and more people. And I'm already up to almost 1,750 subscribers. So 1,749 is what I had earlier when I checked. So we're coming up on 2,000 subscribers, which I think is so amazing. People from all around the world. This is the witch hazel. This shrub typically blooms in late winter, very early spring, and oftentimes when there's still snow outside. This is an interesting picture because it has the Daphne in it. So this kind of red violet flower is a Daphne, and that's one of the very few plants here that were on the property when I bought Dandelion Cottage and began gardening. So I'm very fond of this plant because it came with the property, and it's always one of the very first plants to bloom in the spring. And of course the daffodil. Here's a primrose, some lilacs. I've got lots and lots of lilacs here. My beautiful rhododendrons. I love rhododendrons, one of my favorite shrubs. I also do garden design, so many of these plants are ones that I recommend for people in New England to put into their gardens. Hydrangea. I get a lot of hummingbirds coming to visit the plants here. Here's a little hummingbird with some honeysuckle, and they usually arrive here right around Memorial Day. So I always have to make sure that I have the feeders up and ready for when they come. And they, if if I don't have the feeders up, they let me know about it. Poppies. Many of these cards have sentiments that I have not attached yet because I didn't know if I was going to be using a thank you or congratulations or whatever. So I just sort of pop those in so that they're ready to go and I can switch them out. My beautiful poppies, I've got loads and loads of poppies. They're a lot of fun. I love the pods. I love everything about the poppies. They're wonderful. Roses. So this is a picture of a particular variety of rose here at Dandelion Cottage, the crocus rose. And it's one of my favorites. It's this very pale yellow, sort of creamy color, and it's a lot of fun to paint. So I've got a couple of pictures of that. Here's an example of a wet and wet technique, just using a lot of water and making the painting very sort of washy and abstract, which is so easy to do and quick and easy for note cards. Here's a more carefully painted rose. This rose, I think this is a Winchester Cathedral, if I remember correctly. I'm not exactly sure. Fruit. We've got tons and tons of fruit here at Dandelion Cottage. So I've got an apple orchard, and I've got currants and strawberries and blueberries, grapes, all different kinds of grapes. So as the fruit begins to ripen, I'll be painting more and more. Fruit is also, if you're just getting started and you don't have a garden, go to the supermarket and buy yourself some fruit and paint some fruit. There's no better practice. Late summer, we have the helianthus and the sunflowers. Getting into the fall, of course, we've got the beautiful fall foliage. The critters get busy getting prepared for winter. This is a little downy woodpecker. I love woodpeckers. All throughout the winter, I put the bird feeders outside, and I especially like to put things like suet and birdseed that have nuts in them so that the woodpeckers will come. I think they're so cute. Here's a winter landscape. I'm primarily a landscape painter and a botanical artist. So I've spent a lot of time painting landscapes, and where I live here in New England, it's just beautiful. And while I don't often do landscapes in the Watercolor Wednesdays, it's something that I will do from time to time because I think that knowledge of landscape painting is so important even when you're doing flowers or still life. So you learn a lot from painting the landscape. And I like to keep a watercolor kit in my car with me so that if I feel like just pulling over to the side of the road, if I see a nice view, I can do a quick little watercolor. And by the way, I mean, these watercolors, they only measure, this is about 3 3/4 by 5. So it doesn't take a lot of time to do something like this. Here's an example of a watercolor landscape in the background for a Christmas card. You can see I've got a little well, maybe you can't see with it, but there's a little rhinestone in the star here for Christmas. Here's a Christmas rose, one of my favorite flowers. I've got all kinds of these in the woods, and I keep some near the wood pile, so when I go out to get wood during the winter, I can dig down and see if these are blooming, because these plants will actually bloom under the snow, and it's not unusual for them to be blooming around Christmas and right through into Easter. A little chickadee, another favorite. Wonderful subject for a watercolor note card for Christmas time. And of course, holly. You have to have holly. So this is an example of a watercolor that I spent a little more time on. For these note cards, I usually don't spend any more than 15 minutes to maybe 45 minutes at that. So this is probably closer to the 45-minute time frame. So that's one bunch of cards that I wanted to show you. And then I want to share with you, move this out of the way a little bit. This is a box that I made to hold some note cards. And I love making boxes. And this is a very sturdy reinforced box. And it features a watercolor on the lid. So these are some very early spring flowers. So I've got a hellebore, I've got the Daphne, some Johnny Jump Ups, which I have growing in my vegetable garden. And then it has a sort of a triple mat here on the top, and then the sentiment is bumped up on dimensionals. So this makes a really nice presentation box for somebody. I'm not even sure what's inside here, so let's take a look. It's been a while since I've opened this up. Oh, okay, so this is really fun. This is the very first painting I did for my YouTube channel. So this, of course, is the wonderful snowdrops. These are blooming all over my the area up to my front porch right now. And so this really heralds in the beginning of the botanical painting season. And if any of this interests you and you think you'd like to learn about how to paint flowers and other watercolor subjects, go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and find the tab that says Watercolor Card Club. There'll be a lot more information on there. And we're just about to get started with the new season. So it's not too late. If you sign up, if you subscribe to the Watercolor Card Club by April 15th, you will be right on time to begin the first lesson. And I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. But this is a great time because the way I have the Watercolor Card Club structured is that throughout the season, month by month, I emphasize a different lesson using a different subject. So every single month you learn how to paint a different subject, and you're going to learn how to paint better and better as we go along, because I'm going to be talking about value, color, form, perspective, design, all those different things. So so that's something that you might want to consider doing. It's a great bunch of people, and there's a lot of information in there, and it will help you to get a really good foundation for your paintings. So that's my snowdrop. Here's some of that beautiful witch hazel again. I think I still have some blooms on my witch hazel right now, so that may still be going. I've got several of them, and they're so funny because they all bloom. They're all the same plant, but they all bloom at different times, which is kind of nice. They have a mind of their own. Oh, here's a forsythia. It's just about time for the forsythias to begin blooming. I should have cut some to bring in today to force, so I'll have to do that later. But these are wonderful heralds of spring, as I'm sure many of you know. Another daffodil. I've got a bunch of daffodil things coming right up. If you like daffodils, if you'd like to learn how to use the Daffodil Daydream bundle with the stamp set and the dies, there's going to be lots of that coming along. Oh, the magnolia. This is a star magnolia, and I know I keep saying my favorite plant. They're all my favorite plants. I have a star magnolia growing next to the chicken coop, and my former rooster, Lothario, who's no longer with us, every spring he was taller and bigger than the hens, and he would jump up and he would pull the petals off and feed them one by one as his very special treat, sort of a spring ritual. It was so cute. I think I have a video of that someplace. Here's a Lenten rose. So this is related to the Christmas rose. This is also a hellebore, but it's got these kind of purpley kind of colors. This is a fritillaria, a dice cup lily. I love these things. I love the checkered design on their petals. And I have planted dozens of these around, but unfortunately, my friend Chippy likes them almost as much as I do, and he digs them up and he eats them. So I don't have hardly any left anymore. My rhododendron. So I've got a pair of these on one on each side of my front porch, and I can look out my front window and see them blooming. They're so beautiful. This is a dahlia. So I have a collection of dahlias growing in my cutting garden, and I will often make bouquets with my dahlias for the farmer's market, and they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and colors, and they're wonderful. Another helianthus. These are very tall. Some of these are 5 and 6 feet tall. Very beautiful, lots of fun for the late summer, early autumn garden, which is my favorite time of year. A rose. Here's a clematis. This is a vine. I have this growing near the front steps coming up my walkway. This is my blue rose of Sharon, a hibiscus. Echinacea. This is a great favorite for the birds. They love to take the seeds. And this is a beautiful bright flower that looks really nice in groups. And I have these growing down near the foot of my driveway and also scattered throughout the gardens. Great flower. And here are some little green apples from my apple tree. Actually, these might be crab apples. I don't remember. These may be crab apples, if my memory serves me well. So anyway, so here, that's a great way for you to keep your collection of watercolors in a nice little presentation box. And the last thing I want to show you, and I think I have to zoom out a little bit for this. Here's an example of a box that is decorated with watercolor. And this was a kind of an all-over one-sheet wonder design, okay? But I just wanted to show you how you can make a beautiful little background paper like this to decorate your boxes, your tags, or your bookmarks. Here's a coordinating note card, and this one has some embossed mat with a beautiful texture behind it. And let's see what's in here. Looks like it's just a... So these are the scraps that I had left over from putting these projects together. This is stuck on there. Let me get that off the adhesive. So these are just some scraps that I've used to make tags and bookmarks. And then oftentimes you end up with little strips like this. And these can be used to decorate your journals, your note cards, and just make little sort of collage clusters to decorate your things. So I hope that inspires you to pick up your watercolors or to get some watercolors. Please go to my website and take a look at the Watercolor Card Club. I'll also be posting all of the links below after I do the video today. But before I go, I just wanted to show you, I have a couple of examples that you may be interested in seeing. So here is a starter watercolor kit that I have put together. When you subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, you will get links on how you can get yourself a starter kit if you'd like. This is a mini palette, just a little starter palette that contains the yellow, red, and blue and some earth color. I've got some paper in here. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, a kneaded eraser. I've got a dropper or a pipette and a spritzer. And then I have a choice of brushes. So I have some very inexpensive water painters here that are brushes that have a reservoir in the handle, so you can take them with you wherever you go. And I have a synthetic starter watercolor brush, which is a, what number? This one happens to be an 8 round, and it comes to a very pointy point. And I recommend getting a size around 6, 7, or 8 to get started with. So so you can also inquire about the watercolor kits. And then I just want to give you a quick preview, and I'll let you go. These are just some quick lessons that I've done. So for example, this is using different types of brushes and the different kind of strokes that you can get. So this is a great way to practice. Here's an example of the color wheel with your values. I go into a lot of color mixing and using values to depict form and space. Very important lessons. That's coming up soon. And here's an example of the current lesson that it's not too late for you to subscribe to through the Watercolor Card Club, where I talk about form, values, and mixtures of greens. Very, very important. So here's an example of the artichoke painting that I did using those concepts. And I think this is a great place to start because whether you're painting flowers, fruits, vegetables, landscapes, greens are so important, and people tend to have a lot of trouble with their greens. So this month's lesson is all about mixing greens. So it's absolutely essential that that you have that understanding as you begin to tackle some of these more complex subjects. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you very much for joining me on this quick trip down memory lane. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I inspire you. That is my greatest wish, that I could share the pleasure of painting, and especially with watercolor painting, with you. If you have any questions at all, please message me, email me, put them in the comments below. I answer all of my questions and comments. If I happen to miss one, I'm sorry, but I do my best. And there is a link that I posted earlier today. If you're interested in getting the let me see if I have it handy here. Here it is. If you're interested in getting the bundle for the Daffodil Daydream stamp set and the coordinating dies. If you get this set before April 15th, I will send you the video on how to make this card. So that's just a time limited offer, so you might want to check that out. I'm going to look at my comments here, see if there's any questions. Thank you so much, Carol. She says I'm an inspiration. I love that. And a lot of people saying hi and thank you. And I don't see any questions. So that's it for today. Get your paints ready. We're going to have a full season of flower painting starting now. And I can't wait to see you in class. Stay well, stay happy, and stay creative. And I will see you next time.